So, wait.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Cooking Up Politics. I'm David John Sponheim, and this is Sarah Hart.
I'm Sarah Hart. Tonight we're going to be making more pumpkin pie because we had so much pumpkin left over from Halloween. And tonight I'm going to actually make the pie filling. So first let me go ahead and give you the recipe. So here we go. Here's all of our, sorry to make you dizzy. Here's all of our spices that you see here lined up.
Okay.
And so we're going to start with half a cup of sugar. Now it calls for a full cup, but I like to do half a cup. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of allspice, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and 1.5 cups canned pumpkin, or you can do
Fresh
like
pumpkin.
we did and actually freeze it.
Yep.
And then thaw it out, cook it and thaw it out. There you go. And then it also calls for some evaporated milk, but I like to use just regular 1% milk.
Yeah, 1% milk is the way to go.
And so that is the recipe. Also, you're going to need 2 eggs. So
Right.
here's David. There you go.
Now,
All right.
if you watch the previous Cooking Up Politics, you'll know how to make your crust. And Sarah gave a wonderful recipe for the crust. It's
No saturated fat. There
Right.
you go.
It's no saturated fat. There's no butter or anything except sunflower oil.
Right.
And that's what makes this recipe really amazing. And when you eat it, you're eating wholesome goodness. It's like eating a squash with tastes as good as any pumpkin pie you'll ever have.
Okay, the first thing I did is I drained out the water from the frozen pumpkin, and I put the pumpkin meat in there. And then, when you do the eggs, you're gonna make sure you want those well beaten. So while I start to add the all the spices, David could
I'll do the eggs.
do the eggs for us. So here we go. Let's see if I can set this up. You wanna help me set this up? There we go. Fantastic, I think, except this is gonna fall, so
You're all
can
good.
you fix that?
Yep, I
All right,
got
there
it.
you go. All right, so I'm actually gonna do a double recipe. So everything I said earlier, I'm gonna do it all double. So when David does the eggs, he's gonna do 4 eggs.
Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about politics. Barack Obama's in India. You heard about all the visitations he's making and the possibility of he's spending $200 million apparently per day. That's been debunked. And ironically, the debunkers don't really know the real number that Barack Obama is spending. And I posted a YouTube video on it. You can actually check it out. The fact that he's even in India, generating jobs makes absolutely no sense. How many Indians are going to be buying American products, and how fast is that going to tool up and create jobs? I'm sorry, I don't understand the logic behind, selling him what? Selling him McDonald's could set up an operation in India, and they already have places that they sell. So I'm not sure what exactly he means, and I know that he's been working with the CEO of General Electric as part of his economic stimulus team, and that CEO has been pushing for more outsourcing to jobs in New Delhi. So I have a feeling he's lying to us again about the jobs, that in fact he's actually putting together jobs for General Electric in India, because that's where the new technologies are going to be built, according to the CEO of General Electric. Okay, so you see.
All right, so I'm getting the teaspoon measure, and I already put in the sugar. It's about
Good.
a little more than a cup, and like I said, I'm doubling the recipe, and I'm lowering the sugar because we really don't need that much sugar.
Right.
So cinnamon, there's 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. All right,
Take your
fantastic.
time. You might want to lighten up a little bit on the cinnamon because I did pre-cinnamonize.
Yeah,
the
you already
pumpkin.
put like half a teaspoon in, so I'll
Yeah.
put about 2 teaspoons.
2
of
teaspoons, yeah. You can overdo certain spices like nutmeg. Be careful. It's poisonous in large amounts. You got to be careful.
Okay, remember this is a double recipe, so I told you the recipe for one of them earlier. Now I'm doing 2. Let's put the thing on here somehow.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So and then everything else is going to require a teaspoon. So ginger, allspice, everything requires a teaspoon. I'm double checking.
Yeah. 1.5 teaspoons cinnamon,
So everything's going to be a teaspoon because I'm
half
doubling
a teaspoon
the recipe.
ground ginger, half a teaspoon nutmeg.
I'm doubling the recipe, so a teaspoon
So
of
a teaspoon of
everything.
everything. Okay.
So here's some allspice.
Yeah,
some
allspices are really
cloves.
unique. Cloves are very powerful, and this is
This
what
must
makes
be from like 1960. It still has was 29 cents. I
that
don't
really
think
is.
you can
Yeah, that's
buy
a 29
clothes
cent.
for that price anymore.
I remember when we got that. It was at Whitefront, I believe, in 1966.
It's still very pungent, so still very
Still
good.
very good.
All right, and then of course
You remember
nutmeg.
1966? I do.
No, I don't because
I
I
know,
wasn't
I-
born then.
You were born much later, and for a good reason.
David says there's allspice, you can overdo it, so
You can't overdo allspice, yeah.
I'll
You
do
gotta
a
be
little bit there. All right,
Okay.
fantastic.
That's ground nutmeg.
No, nutmeg. Yep,
Nutmeg is the thing you can really overdo, yeah.
I already put in the allspice.
Okay.
All right, and the cloves, and another teaspoon of ginger. All right, I don't know if I like all these perspectives. I like.
I
it
do.
on-
I do. I like it because people like to see different looks. So let's go
I
back
think
to
they
this.
like to see the food.
Okay.
Is what I think.
This is all about the food in your mind. For me, this is about politics, and I really am concerned about the
Yeah, you
spending practices of this. And I said on my last video that he's a philandering president.
All right, and
You know, I don't really know if he's philandering. And somebody said that's, David, that's like having sex with women or men for that matter.
he's in India doing something. We know that.
Yeah, we know he's doing something,
Right.
and I'm sure he's having relations with maybe his wife, but whatever. The point I was making is he's philandering around with our money,
And
essentially.
a little bit of salt.
Okay,
Here we
salt.
go. And then we're gonna mix all this up together. Oh, I'm gonna get my eggs, and it's
I'm gonna
gonna
do
be
the eggs.
4
Okay.
eggs.
I'm
You're gonna do the eggs.
Yeah, you can videotape that the way you want.
All right. So we're gonna mash this up. I still have a little bit of the water coming out,
Okay.
and that's all right. But I'm gonna.
Okay, we're reaching that point where I'm going to just crack some eggs.
Yeah, because
and-
we're almost done with the recording.
I
So, all right, so we're gonna mash up all of this frozen pumpkin together with all the spices, and we're gonna put in the milk and the eggs, and you mix it together, and then you fill up your pie shells, and you put it in the oven, and we're gonna cook it at.
350.
Yep. Actually, you
Initially.
preheat the oven to 425. You get it really hot to put it in a hot oven, and then you cook it for 425 for a few minutes, and then you drop it to 350.
Okay, I'm going to pour this in here now.
All right, just one moment. You got 4 eggs? Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 eggs going in. Now this is the double recipe, right? This doesn't call for 8 eggs, does it?
No, this is a double recipe.
Okay,
A
perfect.
regular, just one pumpkin would call for.
Let's switch
2.
positions and I'll do a little
Eggs.
muscle
There
activity
you
here.
go.
This is
All right.
this is a job for a guy who
And I'll
likes
put
it.
in the milk while you do that.
Okay.
All right, so
Here's a milk measure.
it's gonna be
Pretty moist, actually. It's
3 cups of milk.
I think the big deception about three cups of.
Well, because there's too much water in here.
I think go cut the milk back.
But
3
usually
cups of milk?
1 2/3 cup.
Are you serious?
Of evaporated milk, yeah.
I would cut back because this milk is not evaporated
Well,
milk. Evaporated
because
milk is
the
much
pumpkin
thicker.
has enough water in it.
I would cut back right now. In fact, looking at the consistency, and I'm not a baker, but the
Yes.
big mystery about pumpkin pie is how does it get so thick at the table? And one of that mystery that's all solved when you get all this gels together and thickens in the oven for that
Okay.
full 45 minutes to an hour.
All right, one of the things you want to do with pumpkin pie